Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Welcome in, friends, to the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we are here to not only tickle your funny bone, but tickle all of your bones with a variety of topics from a Gen X perspective. And we've kind of retired Mega Wheel the Magnificent, right?
Yeah, she's taking a powder for a little while.
Taking a massive powder. The amount of talcum that was used for this powder was just unfathomable.
I think there was a joke about that, wasn't there?
Yeah, we won't touch on that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know where to touch, but that's what the powder's for. Yeah. So what we're going to do is just hit a topic. We've already kind of talked about things. Occasionally people send in questions, and we'll run through that stuff when we do. But our topic for today is this. Are we aging better than our parents did, or just differently? And kind of the core of this is, at our age, we've been taught to eat better, we live longer, we, as Gen X, we kind of dress younger than our parents did at this age. But are we actually aging better, or are we just kind of living in denial with better filters? Where are we at? Are we, Bunny, from your perspective, are we aging better, or is it just different?
I think it's different, really. I mean, I know the old analogy of, like, you look at a person, like you look at your dad or your mom back when she was 35 and she looks like she's 50 for some reason. Yeah. Whereas we look like we're 35 now that we're 50, in our 50s. So it's, I know it's easy to look at things like that and say, oh, yeah, we're aging better. But I mean, you mentioned that we have more access to better healthcare, better food, all that jazz, more opportunities to exercise and all that. And quite honestly, people are a lot fatter nowadays than they were back when everybody was aging terribly. I mean, it's weird that we have all the access to everything.
Is it just that we have better creams now? Like anti-aging creams and things like that? I
think we have Botox and stuff now, which makes
hair color.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. Almost every woman I know uses some form of hair dye now. I mean, it's strange. I only have one friend who's just gone gray. Yeah. And I wonder how many of my friends would go gray if they just let themselves.
I absolutely do not plan on going gray. But here's the weird thing. The K family, like, I remember my grandfather didn't really go gray until he had already retired. My dad is 77, and he's just kind of now at the salt and pepper stage. He's still got some darkness to his hair. But as soon as I start, and I've got some graying in my temples, kind of. I was hoping for like the Doctor Strange thing, but it's just not going to happen.
I could cripple your hands if you want.
Yeah. As soon as that starts, I'm just going to start dyeing my hair, because one of the cool things my wife's done, she has gone gray, but she dyes her hair this fabulous, just miraculous pink.
All right.
And it's awesome. And the fun thing is, she gets so many comments about it. Like, people love it when we go out. Random people will come up like, I love your hair. And it's just awesome. And I think that right there, at our age, being part of Gen X, accepting the age, her hair's gone gray, but taking it and molding it and making it an extension of her personality. And it's this shocking pink color.
Yeah.
I don't think any, or at least most of our parents' generation would have ever done that.
Very rare exceptions, but I think the taboos are different now than they were.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Back when our folks were growing up. So, and I agree with you on that. My father's hair didn't really start going gray until he was almost in his mid-70s.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just went all at once, kind of a thing, you know? It was like boom.
Yeah.
And my grandmother's hair was the same way. It was weird. So I'm not sure when my hair is going to go.
I mean, you don't have, looking at you right now, I can't see any gray.
You know, the funny thing is, my wife loves to point out when she finds a gray hair in my head. Because right now, my hair is still pretty much the same color it's been for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So, knock wood, you know.
And you know what?
Wood, what am I going to do?
I always knock on my head.
There you go.
Like your hair, because you're a redhead.
Yeah.
And when we were younger, it was that vibrant
It
red.
was, yeah.
And then it kind of went dark.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been ever since. But I don't remember when
That was my soul dying. Yeah, it was a gradual process. That's why it didn't take, it didn't just snuck up on you. Like that snuck up on me too.
Yeah, I guess it never popped into my head that change happened.
Yeah.
I don't know when it happened. It was just like suddenly that's how you look.
See, the funny thing is, if I spend time out in the sun, which is a rarity, like if I for some reason have a job or a gig where I'm outside in the sun in the summertime, my hair will start to get streaks of kind of blonde or cherry blonde, that strawberry blonde kind of thing going on in it again. But it never has gone back to the carrot top style.
Right.
Red hair that I used to have. So
that's interesting.
Don't know what that is about redheads, but a lot of redheads are like that.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And the ones that aren't, that still have that vibrant red hair at this age, I guarantee you they're probably dyeing their hair.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
and again, no problem with that. Basically, my take is look how you want to look.
Sure.
And I think that ties into something with the aging process, because Gen X, us, who we're talking about for the most part, we're in our 50s. I still
and
dress
some
like
people in their 60s. So.
Yeah, I still dress like I'm in my 30s.
Sure.
The way I dress, like, look how I'm dressed right now: blue jeans, tennis shoes, a concert
Complete
t-shirt.
Slob. Just joking.
It's not slobbish. This is a concert t-shirt and a baseball cap.
Yeah.
That's the way I've dressed since I was in my 20s, teens. I mean, I will go out today because there's a little bit of a chill in the air. I'll wear a denim jacket. And basically what I just described to you folks, for those of you that remember me from like high school and college, you're probably thinking to yourself, that's how Scott dressed in high school and college. Yeah, it is. I haven't changed at all.
That's your uniform.
Yeah, it really is.
So, yeah.
And is that significantly like Gen X? Because I
don't know. I mean, I look back at some of the stuff my father wore in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing. I mean, it's like plaid shorts and herringbone shirts and just weird shit. You know, the 70s. I mean, that kind of floral print.
I hate that style.
Sateen shirts and stuff.
Everything stylistically from the 70s is pretty much abhorrent to me.
So I'm glad he didn't end up like a Mr. Furley from Three's Company, where he was still wearing like the 70s clothes in the mid 80s or whatever. So I think our parents did adapt a bit. But honestly, I don't remember many fathers from when I was growing up that weren't either wearing T-shirts in the summer or polo shirt type things, year round. It seemed like they were always wearing something like that, or they were wearing sweaters in the wintertime. But it was just this kind of boring uniform. And I mean, quite honestly, that's what we dress like too. We have boring uniforms where we're always wearing a T-shirt and jeans. Now, the T-shirt may have a different design on it each day, but unless you're like me and you wear the same T-shirt for like 2 weeks, you have to cut it off of me, like bear skin. Now, it's, I think people just kind of slide into whatever they're more comfortable with. Yeah. I mean, I still wear jackets with the sleeves rolled up, like sports jackets with the sleeves rolled up.
Which is so 80s.
Like they did in the 80s. And I've had real smart-mouthed young people point that out, like, hey, the 80s called, they want their jacket back. And I'm just like, you're going to die one of these days too. It's all good. I'm just going to sit back and let that roll off me like water off duck's back, right?
Yeah. So is part of this, though, like the emotional maturity of recognizing I look the way I want to look, I dress the way I want to dress, or is it a little bit of midlife denial Are we more introspective, or are we, how do I want to say it? Are we perpetually nostalgic?
I think there's a little bit of that with everybody, and I think that goes with every generation. Mm-hmm. I mean...
Because, see, I think you're more nostalgic than I am.
I am.
By far.
Yeah.
I appreciate the past, but I try desperately to live in the present.
You know, I think everybody, when... I may be speaking out of turn. I'll ask you. How about that?
Yeah.
You, the co-pilot of this doomed Mary Celeste of a podcast. How, was there a time in your life where you kind of had this crystalline moment of what you wanted to look like when you were an adult? Because I think most people have that. I mean, I did.
Yeah, and I think it was in high school, and it was probably between sophomore and junior year. Mm-hmm. Because that time period is when I literally kind of in my head turned off my give a fuck switch.
Wow, earlier than most.
And just kind of went, this is the kind of music I like because I like how it makes me feel. These are the kind of books I like to read because I love the adventures. I love how they make me feel. This is how I want to look because it's comfortable.
All right.
And that kind of became me. And I think that ties into what I said just a few minutes ago. Like, I dress the same way now that I did then because decades ago I went, this is when I'm comfortable. If you have ever seen me in a suit and tie, you are one of the very few people, because I have never been more uncomfortable. That was a tux.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I am never more uncomfortable than when I have to be dressed up like that. I find it this weird facade because it's so not me. You, on the other hand, in a suit and stuff, you look right. You fit the part. You look good like that. I look like an idiot. And I always have.
When I was growing up, I had this thought that when I am in my 30s, when I'm an old man in my 30s, I am going to look like Mike Rutherford from Genesis.
Okay.
I'm going to have this sort of...
along with the jacket with the sleeves.
With the sleeves
yeah, that's so
up.
Rutherford. Yeah.
I'm going to have my hair the way I want it, and it's going to be a little longish.
You're missing the beard.
Yeah, I'm unable to grow a beard, much to my man card shame. I don't know if it's some sort of genetic issue or what, but my father could never grow a full beard either.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very patchy when I grow. I can grow everything like right in my goatee zone.
Yeah.
I can get a super long goatee if I want.
Yeah.
But the cheeks and the sides,
just
they never
grow
grow in. They never fill in. Yeah. They're super blondie, and it looks like I had the mange. So I just stopped trying to grow a beard. Plus, every girl I've ever been with, it gives me nothing but grief if I have any sort of facial hair. Because they're like, it's poking me. Because there was a fairy tale called Bristle Lip. I don't know if you're familiar with.
What?
It's a German, it's a, what do you call it? The Grimm Brothers thing.
Okay.
And it's all about a guy who he grows this beard to pretend like he's a pauper, basically, to pretend like somebody he isn't. So he can show up this girl who pissed him off when they were having one of those like, oh, come marry my prince, my rich son. And these girls were just like, oh, you're stupid looking. So he got real pissy and tried to, gaslight her and treat her like crap. Anyway, beside the point, he had really coarse facial hair. And that's the way my facial hair is. Apparently, it's like daggers. When people touch it, it's like porcupine hair.
Yeah.
So even with beard softener and everything else, girls hate it.
Okay.
There is no kissing, no going downstairs or anything when I got the bristle lip going on. So I'm mainly clean shaven. That's a little bit of too much information from the bunny world there for you.
I've been clean shaven for almost the entire time I've had my current job because where I work, have to wear a hairnet. And if you've got any kind of facial hair, you have to wear like a beard net too.
Yeah, those are dumb.
And I just find it completely, I hate it.
Why don't you wear an astronaut helmet?
Well, there is a different kind of mask that we call it the Spider-Man mask that just has the cutout for like your eyes and it covers your entire head and everything.
Nice. Yeah, I'd be wearing that all the time.
Well, but they're so hot.
I'm Baron Zebo or whatever his name is.
I get so hot anyway, so that's why I've been clean shaven. Okay. Like I instead of dealing with that, I'll wear the hairnet and just shave. I feel much more comfortable with a goatee. Yeah. Because that's what I've had for most of my adult life. Yeah. So
so there's that crystalline moment, going back to that, where you think you kind of have this idea of like, wow, this is probably what I'm going to look like when I get older, so I'm going to go with it. Yeah, and I'm going to slide into that. I mean, I would dress like a new romantic for the rest of my life if I could get away with it.
As much as I wish I could get away with dressing like Simon Le Bon, with my body
he had pretty
shape
bad fashion sense, to be honest.
No, he's great. Or John Taylor. John Taylor would be my preference. But I don't look good dressed like that. Yeah, I look decent dressed like this. And I wonder if some of this is like an extended adolescence, like the music we listen to, like new romantic stuff, the metal from the 80s, games, the stuff we like. Did we just carry it over longer than our parents did?
No, I mean, think about... I grew up on a road where there was a guy and a gal who had dyed black hair, and the guy desperately dressed like Roy Orbison to the day he died. I mean, he had the extra thick mutton chop kind of sideburns, and he wore the open shirt, and the whole bit. It was total 70s kitsch, And his wife was the same way. She had the big gaudy jewelry, black hair all piled up on top of her head, like not quite a beehive, but that's kind of stacked Joanne Worley kind of hairdo from back in the day. Yeah. And I mean, that's just where I think people think they're rocks. Like people think they're made of stone, and that, I'll never change, blah, blah, blah. But people are like water. I want to go all Bruce Lee on you. But people take the shape of whatever they're poured into. Yeah. And water always finds its own level. And I think everybody kind of finds their own level at some point where it's like, here's where I rest. Here's where I'm comfortable. Right. I'm comfortable in the 70s. I'm comfortable in the 80s. Maybe these other kids are comfortable in the 2010s. I don't know. But it's like, I think you get to a point, because even my mother was like one of these people that she wouldn't listen to anything other than stuff like Johnny Mathis and Elvis Presley. And my dad was like, I only listen to the old bluegrass music. I don't listen to anything past the 80s. Sure. Because that's just where they were comfortable. And that's where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in the 80s and early 90s. And that's just where I don't want to...
There have been studies on that, like from a music perspective. By the time you're out of high school, you've pretty much found all the music that you like, and you're going to stick to that going forward. That's why classic and oldies
too.
I think it works for all that. Like you become, you find that niche for yourself. But I think certain things, like if you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're somebody that's out there doing that stuff, I think there is that calling to find new things. Like I'm always looking for new music. I will admit this, as I age, I find less and less new music that speaks to me, because I find like production techniques and things like that. Sure. I'm just listening to it going, it sound a lot better if it wasn't just this wall, if you actually had some space between the instruments. Sure. But that's not the style. Yeah. So I get that.
I think there's a real hang up for some reason, and every generation is guilty of it. I mean, we were guilty of it with our parents, and now younger generations are guilty of it with us, and vice versa, is that everybody feels like, man, if you just settle into an area, if your water finds its own level there, then you've just given up, man. You're stuck in the past, man. Contemporize, man. That kind of crap. Yeah. I think that's a really unfair thing to do to people, because there are so many things that take an adult's attention.
Absolutely.
That they don't have the compartmentalized space to keep inhaling new crap. Well, be it aesthetics, design, music, fashion, it doesn't matter to them. They're more worried about surviving.
Well, let me twist that on you. So is part of this discussion then, and we'll kind of call it the boomer blueprint, for lack of a better term. Their generation, our parents' generation, the goals for most folks, marriage, kids, pension, and then retire. Mm-hmm. For us, I never kind of got that as a direction or an expectation.
Oh, like you didn't grow up with the idea of like you're going to get your education, get a college degree, get a nice job, get married, have kids, Dr. Kevorkian yourself out because there's no such thing as pension anymore.
People.
Yeah.
Not real. There was the expectation of, yeah, you're a fairly smart kid. You probably want to go to college, blah, blah, blah. But I know, honestly, there were parts of my life from like age 16 through 23 that I didn't think much about, that I was just living day to day. Like if I hadn't gotten a scholarship to school, I don't know that I would have gone to school, because the thought of paying to go to college and ending up with like a loan that I had to repay afterward, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to write. That was where my head was at. And so like those 4 years of college were great because I was just learning. I was writing. I was playing with my band. That's what I wanted to do with my life.
Well, college is really an extension of high school. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's a different, fancy, more free range version of high school. You don't really have the realistic, requirements of being out of the academic world and swimming on your own.
I don't know, man. I mean, I had to pay for my own gas. I had to pay for my insurance. I had to pay for my books.
Yeah,
I had to have a job, so it was kind of a mishmash.
Most of us did, but
mishmash of adulthood and high school, but
a soft launching pad into the shark-infested waters of adulthood.
Yeah, I guess kind of, but it was just I don't think the expectations for us as Generation X were quite as rigid. No. I think we had more openings and opportunities.
Do you think younger people have even more freedom than we had, or do you think it's a rubber band effect and it's coming backwards now?
I think it's very much a rubber band. Yeah, I think we had a way more open era, like 1990 to 2005. If you were coming of age and going into college or going into the workforce in those years, I think things were a lot more open. There was a wider field of opportunity. I think technology has kind of contracted it a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and you would think it's opened it up, but I think just the opposite.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to kind of dig into. I'm not sure. Do you think if you were a high school senior right now, what? For those, I'm not even going to describe the motion. It's just if you were a high school senior,
I was going to unalife myself.
As a high school senior right now, what do you think your most open opportunity would be?
OnlyFans.
And there you go. Like, is it workforce? Is it education? Is it trade school? I mean, what do you do now?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, when you ask a question like that, it's loaded because you take hindsight back with you, and you're like, well, if I knew I knew then what I know now, then I would choose this. But you know how dumb and idealistic we were as kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody had said, man, just go to trade school, I would have been like, you idiot. I don't want to be a hillbilly for the rest of my life. Now, all these people that went to trade schools are running their own companies and doing great, and making way more than I'll ever make. Joke's on me. But, if I had hindsight, that's probably what I would have done. I would have gone into either trade school or I would have gone into bio or chemistry or something and gone into like a medical research field or something.
Yeah.
Where I could get a job at a pharmaceutical company and make ludicrous amounts of money.
Yeah.
I would have gone that route. I would not have gone the idealistic, I'm going to be a filmmaker and I'm going to go out and work in movies and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because it was wonderful when you're a kid, but it's cold comfort when you're an adult.
Yeah. Like, the one thing I might have done differently is when I was getting ready to graduate from college, when I was coming to the rude realization that, yeah, double majoring in English and philosophy is cool and all, but what kind of job are you preparing yourself for? I would have taken a couple people's advice and probably gone to law school, because that was about the only thing that I was preparing myself for. And at that point in time, I didn't want anything to do with it. Looking back a couple years later, when I dug into more of the business end of music, like, copyright law is really kind of interesting. I might have done that. And it would have radically changed the rest of my life.
The rock and roll lawyer. There you go.
Yeah, and there are a few around town here.
There are. I mean, my wife works for a number of them. So yeah,
it's kind of a cool thing. But that might have been the only thing I would have changed. But from the aging perspective, I mean, we can have hindsight all the time. Let's bring it up to now again. One of the things we haven't talked about is some of the physical things. Sure. So, like, at what point did you realize that your body was aging out? That you were starting to get to a point where things didn't snap back the way they did?
Probably about 45.
Okay.
That was when I would be down on the ground, crawling around, laying on the floor or whatever, hanging out, and then I struggle to get up.
Yeah.
Even though I was not overweight or anything. Right. It was just like, wow, okay, my knees and my hips aren't really flexing the way they used to.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I was kind of like, shit, my days are numbered. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's the roller coaster. How about you?
Mine was in my 40s, probably either coming or going from a gig or band practice, and either loading or unloading my car with my amp and basses and stuff, and realizing I never used to get tired like this when I was carrying this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then a few years ago, when I literally sold my I used to have a PV Mark VI bass head. And for musicians out there, or especially bass players, when I say that, you understand the things weigh like 70 pounds. They are not light. That and 2 410 cabinets was my live rig. That's a lot of weight. And a few years ago, I traded that entire rig because I had used that Mark VI head. I think I bought it in 1992, 91 when I was still in high school. And I used it all the way through. That thing was a tank, man. Traded it all in because the newer Class D amplifiers, I like literally to your right over there is a 210 cabinet that pumps 500 watts. It weighs 36 pounds. That's not going to break my back. So it was that. It was literally playing music where I realized, Scott, you're not a pup anymore.
Yeah.
You can't move this stuff, and you are not popular enough or making enough money to have a roadie. So guess what? You need to downsize.
I wonder, we're talking about generations and stuff and aging differently than our parents. One thing I've noticed that's a big difference between our generation and my folks' generation is that we don't mind making concessions for aging, whereas a lot of the people in my folks' generation are very much like, I can't walk up and down the stairs anymore, but I'm not leaving this house.
Yes.
Or, I'm going to keep mowing the lawn every day in the 90-degree heat, even though I'm 75 and I'm, have a heart condition. Or I'm going to go shovel the snow, all afternoon because 3 times a day because I'm bored and I want to keep on top of it.
Great point.
It's this weird sort of, I'm not sure where that came from. If it's because I wouldn't consider boomers super self-reliant. They're not as self-reliant as their parents were or whatever, like people who went through the war and depression and all that. And they had it pretty much on easy street, but they kind of had this refusal to, I guess where the ones that didn't dress like they were still 20 went was they still acted like they were still 20. So it was like, I can drink all night. I can go out and party. I can carry heavy things up and down the ladder, like I used to when I was a teenager. And like you said about your amp, it's making a concession. And I see that a lot more in Gen X and younger generations even. Yeah. Is that we don't mind. Like I am actively looking at 55 plus communities right now. I'm not quite 55 yet, but I want to be able to just zoom right in if I can. If I can talk my wife into it, because I want an easier lifestyle. I'm not afraid to admit, geez, I'm getting older.
And you don't want to spend that time fighting with the lawn or stuff like that. You want to spend the time
I don't want to clean my gutters out. My neighbor, perfect example, she's selling her home. She is a very spry, very attractive, almost 70. Mm-hmm. She takes very good care of herself. She's all yoga and blah, blah, blah. But she's a single woman living on her own. Yeah. And she asked me if she could borrow my extension ladder, which weighs a ton. It's a fiberglass extension ladder. Yeah. So Jean and I carried it over for her, and she's like, well, I'm having some leaking around my chimney, so I have to go up and fix it because she's trying to sell her house. Well, she didn't want to wait for people to come help her, so she went up on her own. Now, she's almost 70. Yeah. And she was able to do it, no problem. But I think about my parents at almost 70. Right. I think about myself at almost 70. Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to do is be on a ladder. Right. Yeah. I don't want to be on a ladder now when I'm 52. I definitely don't want to be on a ladder when I'm 70. Yeah. Trying to do anything, because I'm going to break my neck. So it was just that kind of, wow. And like how much harder it is the older you get, and she's really healthy and fit. Yeah. But I look at other 70-year-olds I know who are decrepit. Basically, their mobility.
And some of that is completely personal. I mean, it is. You can't. You're dealt genetic hand of cards, and you're also dealt with how you live your life and the things you do.
I look at my mother-in-law. She's in her 80s, and she gets up and moves all over the place. She does gardening. She's running all over creation, traveling, and all sorts of committees. I look at my parents. My mother didn't make it to 80. Mm-hmm. My father did. And they were both so broken down and had so many mobility issues that pretty much all they did was sit inside and watch television. Right. And then go to bed. And it's that was my blueprint or my vision for older people. That's what I know. My grandparents were similar. My grandmother had much more mobility. But my grandfather was racked with rheumatoid arthritis and died in his 60s, you know? So, but he sat all the time, It's weird because, and I'll talk to my wife about it. My wife's just like, no, being old is great. It's all active and blah, 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 because that's what she's used to seeing. Right. I'm used to seeing people rotting away in their homes. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to get old, So, of course, I have a fear of that. Yeah. So, it's just that kind of, I don't want to be a 55-year-old worrying about shoveling my driveway with snow 3 or 4 times a month. Mm-hmm. I don't want to slip and break my hip when I'm cleaning out gutters, 30 feet in the air. I think our generation is much more easygoing about asking for help and making those kind of concessions and saying, hey, look, I'm out.
I think that's technology. As strange as it may seem for me to say that, I think the fact that we've grown up with so many changes, we've become accepting, we understand.
Good point.
Change doesn't scare us. And the fact that there are tools out there that make life easier. Sure. And they're not evil. It's not, being lazy. It's there so that you can do those things quicker and have more time for the things that are important to you.
It's a force multiplier, baby.
Yeah, I think that's been a key for our generation. Yeah. Let me throw one more thing out at you, and we'll kind of end this talk about aging on this note. Picture your mom or dad or both at your current age, at early 50s. Yeah. What's something that you remember about them that seems alien to you now at the same age? If there is anything.
Ironically, my folks in their 50s were still pretty spry. They were both working full-time jobs. They both went on vacation together a lot. Yeah. They went shopping on the weekends and did all the things that pretty much I do, Mm-hmm. So not really too much different. Now, the weird thing was, by the time 60 hit, things got really weird. Yeah. people started to break down and mobility became more and more an issue, and their world got smaller. Like the borders of their world started shrinking a bit, and they didn't feel like going to the mall and walking around anymore. And they didn't go to Epcot Center for, vacation where they'd walk for 10 miles a day or whatever. Yeah. It started to shrink in, and they weren't interested in things like mobility scooters or wheelchairs or walkers or anything like that. They were so, I don't want to say vain. Yeah. But they were, they were so self-conscious about the way they'd look doing stuff like that. They didn't take advantage of anything like that. So then they started struggling when they'd go out grocery shopping. They'd take a cart, and my dad would have a cart too, then they'd only use one, so they'd have something to hold on to while they walked. Yeah. And, things just became more and more difficult. Right. Increasingly. And then it got to the point where they just didn't go anywhere. Yeah. So, and that was probably about mid 70s or I'd say late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. So how about you?
The alien thing for me is not like a difference. It's something that I grew into, and may sound weird, but when I was much younger, I remember, especially as a musician, like comparing my hands with my dad's hands. Okay. My dad was a maintenance mechanic. He worked at the Cincinnati Enquirer. He worked at the Gap. He was a forklift mechanic. He was always fixing things. So, and his hands showed that. The calluses, the scars, things like that come with turning wrenches and doing maintenance work. Sure. But I remember being much younger and like seeing the backs of his hands and just the way the skin looked. And it was different than mine because I was young. I was in my 20s. I was, I had the skin of a 20-year-old. He had the skin of an older person. And I remember a couple years ago, I was driving home from work, and I usually drive one-handed because I drove a stick for years. I never got out of that habit. I remember being at a stoplight, and a sunbeam was crossing my left hand. And I looked at the skin on the back of my left hand, and it was my dad's skin.
Yeah, pretty spooky, huh?
And being like, holy shit, I've got the same like creases and texture. I grew into my dad's skin. Yeah. And it was just like, wow. It wasn't good or bad. It was just that being hit in the face with you're that age now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to remember sometimes for some reason. I think this might be the Peter Pan syndrome of younger generations, Gen X and millennials and all that, where, I've always had freckles because I'm redhead. Well, my freckles disappeared on my face and stuff for the most part, and they're still on my arms and that. Yeah. But now the freckles are turning into age spots. Sure. And things like that. And, it's a weird sort of realization. I remember, like you said, I was going in to shave one day, and I got the old razor out, and it was early in the morning, and I flipped the light on, and it looked like my father for a moment in the mirror, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah. It's a weird realization that, wow, I don't feel 50. Right. But I sure do look it. Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll say something, and the inflection in my voice and the way I say it, in my head, this flag goes up like, you just sounded 100% like your dad. Yeah. It's like, it's wow. Weird. Yeah. Where did that come from? How did this happen? And in a lot of ways, it is a little bit alien, but it's also really cool that we've gotten to that point, So that's been our take on, are we better? Are we aging better than our parents did? I'm not sure we came to a conclusion. I think just differently.
For me, a definitive is differently.
Yeah, absolutely differently. We've come to this age through a radically different path, but we've gotten here, and what really matters is today and the future. And I think keep moving is probably a key. Don't be afraid of the tech. Work the tech. Don't let the tech work you, and keep looking toward the future.
You don't have much of a choice, do you?
Yeah. I mean, in reality, what I just said, you may not want to do it, but you got to do it. So that'll take us out for this episode of the Gen Existentialist Podcast. If you have questions, concerns, comments, critiques, or you just want to say hi, leave us a comment wherever you are listening to this podcast. Parting thoughts, Bunny?
I just want to wish everybody a happy aging.
Happy aging, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.
See ya.